Washington, in his farewell address, he's stepping down after 2 terms, having shaped the American experiment in a dramatic way. And he will say, religion and morality are indispensable supports for our political prosperity. We talk all about the wall of separation between church and state, the metaphor that Jefferson gives to us, but we rarely talk about the metaphor of the pillars that support the floorboards of the Constitution, the religion and morality. Adams will come on the scene and he'll say, our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It's completely inadequate for the governance of any other. Benjamin Rush, someone often overlooked, one of the signers. He was part of Christchurch, Philadelphia, often called the father of psychiatry. He's done all kinds of work caring for mental illness issues. But he wrote an extraordinary letter where he says, why is it we're spending so much money on prisons to deal with people who've broken the law and so little on education and Bibles where morality is trained? If we put it into biblical teaching and training, most of this suffering would never occur. And it's so much cheaper to teach the Bible than to build a prison. And it's a very powerfully argued letter. So Benjamin Rush, again, shows that biblical focus of the era. It was really believed that moral people were biblically trained people. Whatever your religious tradition, you need to have the data points that makes morality possible, which is religion. So Washington, in his farewell address, will actually say, whatever we might say in honoring minds of peculiar structure, fascinating euphemism there. The minds of peculiar structure is a way of speaking about deists and infidels and maybe even atheists, where they say that we can have human conduct that's good without religion. He said, reason and experience forbids us to think so. Religion and morality are necessary if we're going to be a happy people. In fact, earlier in Washington's life, which I have sometimes called his public profession of faith, it's his farewell address as the victorious general at the end of the Revolutionary War. If you go through that lengthy piece, it really gives you an outline of the basics of the Christian worldview. It's a marvelous piece. He's writing to the 13 newly independent governors of each of the original colonies, now states, created in the United States. The victorious general, it's his farewell words to them. And he gives the words that I think are his boldest testimony for his Christian faith. There were no spotlights back then, but if you will, all the spotlights were on him. Whatever he said, now people would want to know. He won the war. He had the ability to write to every newly governor that were indebted to him for their position, and he's giving them his thoughts on what should happen. And he will say, I now make it my earnest prayer that God would keep you. He's praying that they would do justice and love mercy. Okay, now as a biblical student, you might say, oh yeah, he's quoting Micah 6:8, one of the great Old Testament texts, to do justice and love mercy and walk humbly with your God. But Washington, almost like he had studied at a good Christian seminary like Westminster, he sees Christ in the Old Testament. And he says, I am earnestly praying for you that you will do justice, that you'll love mercy, and you will imitate the divine author of our blessed religion. He saw government as a species of something that God gives, along with religion and government. They're gifts from God, and we need God to get them right.